All right, form shooting. Let's have all the basketballs in this line to start with. Newly does it, Bogues does it, everybody does it. And it's great just to get your eye in and get you mentally switched on for whatever you got. Practice, game, however it may be. But I just want to go through a breakdown of what it is exactly that we were talking about with our form shooting. So, can I borrow your basketball? On the basketball, there's a valve, okay? And we always want to talk about getting the index finger on the valve. Now, you're never going to get this during the game. You're never going to get hit with a pass, and as you're about to shoot it, you're going to go. But what it is, it's just a little mental trigger to start with, just to help with everything else that lines up. So all I'm going to get you guys to do right now is look for the basketball and put your index finger on the valve. Okay, so do that for us. You're going to be my demo because you're on the front. Okay, the next part we're going to do is set it up so you got ball, wrist, elbow, preferably in one straight line for me. Good. And you want to have a bit of space between the ball and the palm. Now that is a personal preference. If they guys like shooting it with the ball in their palm and they're shooting at a great clip, guess what? Keep the ball in the palm, all right? But as a rough rule of thumb, I always say you just want to give a little bit of space. Now, set it up again for me. You should be able to put, hold that, perfect. So now when we're talking about the line of ball, wrist, elbow, and you want to have it at this 90-degree angle. Now when we talk about shooting as well, guys like to dip into their shot, but we're not talking about shooting, we're talking about form shooting. So this is just to get your eye in and just trigger that little mental cue to say, all right, this is what I need to do to make sure I give the best chance of my shot going in. All right, perfect. Arm sore? Set it up for us, guys, set it up exactly like that. Then what I'm going to get you to do is you're going to shoot it over to your partner. Nice high arc. The only thing I want you to think of right now is just getting your elbow above your eyebrow. That's all I want you to do. You're going to shoot it over to your partner. Ready? Go. Good. You guys are going to do the exact same thing for us, shooting it over to your partner. Get a couple of reps going back and forth as we're talking. Now, the old analogy I used to use too when I had coaches doing this, Bevo did this when I first started at the Wildcats. And he had these guys lined up doing exactly this, and I thought it was brilliant. One of the things he talked about was like the gooseneck or hands in the cookie jar. We've heard it all before. I used to use the one where you talk about you want to touch the top of a phone box, but there's no phone boxes anymore because everyone's got their own phones. So when you try and tell these kids what a phone box is, they lose their minds. All right? So saying elbow above the eyebrow just gives enough of a cue to sort of straighten out that arm and lock it out, and then you just sort of watch everything else follow naturally. Now guys, when you shoot it, I want you to watch the ball and see that natural spin of the ball, okay? You want to get that back spin. Now, I'm doing this, guys, where they're partnering up to themselves, but what you have to imagine right now is we do this and they're shooting at a ring, okay? And as they start getting good at it, you start saying 5 in a row. And then when they start getting really good at that, you go 5 swishes in a row. And then they'll simply start in close, they'll shoot, and they take a step back and they do the exact same thing. And they'll keep working their way all the way back to the 3-point line. Now this can theoretically take, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, however long you want to take it. You can go 3 in a row, you can just say 3 swishes, however you want. But all it is that cue to get that, the mental trigger to say, right, if they roll up to practice and they're hitting short, or they're not feeling like confident in their shot, they can simply jump off to the other court real quick, get a couple of set lifts in, just go through that mental checklist of what they want to visualize, and then come back in. So hold it there for us. Next part we want to introduce now is the feet. Now, I remember being taught saying 10 toes to the basket, but it's unnatural position. If I'm going to say, I'm right-handed, so I'm going to say my right foot slightly forward, but I want 10 toes to the basket, I'm not going to get that natural curve in my spine, that little natural twist, especially if I'm talking about lining up now the wrist, the elbow, and the knee. So, again, this comes down to personal preference, where you can have one foot forward, the other foot to the angle. You can have both feet angled. Whatever your preference is, you've seen it, everybody throughout the world has different shooting techniques and they can be real good shooters, but their feet it's not as important as what it used to be back when I was being taught, saying you had to get 10 toes forward. Now all we say, or as I say it, is I want you right now to jump as high as you can. Ready? Hold it. However you position your feet is the distance you want. However high I want to jump, that is my shoulder width apart. Okay? So I'll just say I want you to jump as high as you can. That is your natural here, how you want to shoot it. And then all I'm going to say is, can I borrow your ball? Actually, borrow your ball. Line it up again, that one-handed. Whoop, you good? Set it up, one-handed. Good man. Ball, wrist, elbow, and now knee. So bring that foot just forward enough where you feel comfortable, that feels like it's in a straight line. And you can have your toes however you want. You can have it to an 8, yeah, see? However natural it feels for them, if they want to turn it out slightly, that's what they got. So what's going to happen now is you guys are going to take another step backwards for us. All right? Still sticking with one-handed set lifts, but now I want you to load up your feet the same way we just did it then. Natural distance, whatever feels like you can jump the highest, okay? Now you're going to squat back. You can set it up as a chair if you want, or you simply just say, I want you to visualize you're just sitting down on the toilet right here. I'm loaded up, one-handed, and I want you to shoot it as high as you can. Get your elbow above your eyebrow. Let's see that natural backspin of the ball. Shoot it over to your partner. Go. Nice and high. You want to get it nice and high and feel that ball roll off the fingertips. It's got to make the distance, fellas. Now, Clint Steindl, when we first signed him at the Perth Wildcats, he came in as he came in halfway through the year, and then he injured himself right at the end of the season, and he broke of all things to break, he broke his left wrist, right? I shouldn't be able to hear the basketball bounce like that. Get it all the way over to your partner. If you need to take a step closer, take a step closer. He broke his left wrist, right? And so for 3 months, this is all we did, because that's all we could do. Now, he came off a season, now he's a natural born shooter, right? Played at St. Mary's, did really well shooting, played in Townsville, did really well in shooting, played a little bit overseas, came to Perth and came off a season where he shot 27% from the three. Now, as you guys know, shooting is a real confidence thing. It's a mental game more than anything, right? So he just came off a year of shooting a 27% from the three-point line. He played 1 weekend in the state league, broke his wrist after the second game. It was a double header. Now, it ended up being as a blessing in disguise in a sense, because all we did for 3.5 months was this, because you couldn't do anything else. So we sat there and we shot one-handed for 3.5 months. We shot the ring, and then we did dribble into it, left-handed, and just getting his confidence back up, because it was nothing he didn't already know. And then what ended up happening too was, when he was shooting it one-handed, that elbow that used to be out a little bit too far just naturally came in a few degrees. And then he came off a great year with Perth where he shot at 40-something% from three, and he's doing the same thing this year. Hold it there for us, guys. All right? So shoot it one-handed just naturally sets up your shooting arm for you, because if we get guys, yeah, I'll tell you one, perfect. If we got too much, a little bit of a chicken wing, it can influence it. Now again, if there's a guy that shoots at 45% from three and he's got his arm all the way out, you know what, don't need to change it. Maybe tweak it a little bit, maybe not even that. But if we're talking about someone right now that's gone, okay, you're shooting at 27% from three, what are some of the little things that we can work on? And in Clint Steindl's case, he had no choice because he had a broken left wrist, all right? So if I'm gonna set that ball up right here, I have no choice. If I hold it out too wide, it's gonna slip out of the hands. So the last thing that you introduce is what we're going to do right now is your support hand, your guide hand, okay? It's the last thing. Now, with the guys at Sydney or in Perth, as we shoot, we don't even worry about adding in the guide hand at the end. That's when we just start doing like repetitions now. We're shooting naturally. So we'll just do the set lifts. As we work further out is when we start to engage the legs to the point where we're shooting three-pointers one-handed, okay? And then when we say, okay, now you bring in the support hand, now we're just shooting normally as it is. But from a teaching perspective, set up again for us, set me up everything that you just did. Good, hold it there. The support hand is all we want to say as it comes to the side of the ball, right? Fingers pointing up to the ceiling. It shouldn't influence or manipulate the ball at all, okay? Because if you shoot it and you turn your thumb out, right, it's going to dictate just a little bit enough of the ball to maybe put it off course. So theoretically, as we say, is usually you just pushing off your hand. It is support, but you're still shooting it one-handed, okay? So guys, load it up for us. Do everything that you just did. Bring in the support hand right at the end. Yep. And when you shoot it, your support hand should relatively stay the same. Fingers point up towards the ceiling and following through. Follow through. Now have a look, as you guys are shooting it, observe and look at yourself now. Coach yourself. Have a look at your hands. How do they look? You got to look at your hands, fellas. When you shoot it, have a look. Good. Have a look at your hands when you're done. Are they doing everything they feel like they should? Now there's no real perfect science to shooting, okay? There's not like a fundamental textbook way of things that needs to be done. There's a basic blueprint and then you build from that. The one thing I found, especially with guys shooting, hold on to the ball again for us guys, is any type of individual work, what works for someone ain't gonna work for the next guy. So you can try 50 different things, and then we finally get what works. We're gonna say, right, this is what we roll with, this is our routine, this is what we're gonna do every single week, okay? And then we move on to the next one, and that same routine is not gonna work for him. So then we gotta quickly pivot, do something else, and then find the routine that works for him, okay? So for coaches, for trainers at any level, when you talk about an individual program and it's gonna be personalized, that's exactly what it is. There's not always gonna be a one size fits all in this scenario.